And so tell us about your labour and birth.
It was lovely. It was exactly as I'd wanted it in retrospect, and the memories, the recollection I have of it overall are just of it being a very intense, quite primal, but very loving, you know, bonding experience. It was at home. My sister was there and my partner was there, and we had the midwife that we'd had all the way through my pregnancy, and a community midwife who I hadn't known, and a student who I hadn't known, but they were so lovely, and they'd asked so politely about, you know, coming in and would I mind if they were there, and it was just, you know, it was really nice. They were very pleasant about it. But I started on Monday evening, sort of feeling that something was happening, and I phoned my sister and said, "Am I in labour? Do you think I'm in labour?" And she said, "Yeah, I think you probably are." And so we, and then my partner got home from work, and we were both really excited, and I cooked some dinner. We had fish, I think. I cooked some dinner, and we just had a nice relaxed evening at home, sort of sitting on the sofa and watching TV, timing everything so that, you know, to determine that they were coming regularly, and they were coming very regularly, sort of every 10 minutes and lasting about a minute and a half, 2 minutes each. But nothing that wasn't manageable. And so we had a lovely evening, watched TV, went to bed, and he obviously slept the whole night through, and I was up and about and going for wheeze during the night and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I had a restful night, and got up in the morning, and he phoned work and told them that he wasn't coming in because I was having a baby. And I got in the bath and had quite a long bath, just lying around, which incidentally he had plumbed in the previous year, and I was just ridiculously, I was so pleased that I was labouring in a bath that he'd plumbed in. I thought it was really nice. Yeah, we just sort of potted around during the day. My sister, the midwives came over in the morning to just have a look at me and examine me and said, "Yeah, you know, you're on your way, but you're a long way from anything really happening at the moment, so just carry on." So we did, and my sister got there mid-morning, and again, I think I might have had another bath. I was in and out of the bath quite a lot, really. But we just sort of potted around and listened to music, and I think he was tinkering around with bits and pieces in the house, and she was reading a book, and they were just there for me for each surge. And I remember that I was sort of hanging off one or other of their necks while the other one was digging their knuckles into the small of my back to sort of help with the sensations. And we just had a really nice day, really, and it was just the three of us for most of the day, and we called the midwives. I'd said to you earlier on today that I thought it was about 7:30, 8 o'clock, but it might even have been later than that. It might have been closer to 9 or 10 in the evening when they got there. So we really had, apart from an hour where they'd been there in the morning, we were on our own for really most of it, very much of it.
And I guess you weren't clock watching, so you didn't really know what time you called them or what time they came.
No, not at all. I was really not aware of it at all. Although I had, because I'd started off on Monday night, I was pretty confident that he would be there by Tuesday tea time, and I was like, "What? He still isn't here." Right, okay. But yeah, I wasn't really aware of time at all, and because we were at home, there was nobody sort of checking in on us. They, you know, they didn't keep phoning us. We had to, the onus was on us to phone them, and so we did when things were... And I'm just trying to think, I can't remember what prompted the call. I can't remember whether my waters broke before we called them or afterwards, but certainly we were on our own. And when the midwife turned up, my sister was saying, "Oh, you know, her waters have come and they're good and clear," and it was all fine. All over my sister's jeans, actually, which is quite funny. But that was... you know, again, just and strangely, I knew that was going to happen. I knew in that I was having the surge, and I was saying to my sister, "I think my waters are going to go. I think my waters are going to go." And sure enough, about 3 seconds later, they did. So
you were really in tune with your body and what was going on.
It's really odd, because I don't know how I would possibly have known that, and I can't tell you that there was a sort of physical sensation that made me think, "Oh gosh, they're on their way." But I did just sort of have a feeling, and off they went. Anyway, so the midwives turned up in the evening, and there was, as I said, my community midwife who I'd seen all the way along, and then the sort of area on-call midwife, and the student who wanted to come because she hadn't been to a home birth before, so she wanted to come and see what a home birth was like. And we were really happy for her to be there. And again, they were so respectful of what was happening. They asked if they could come into the room that I was in, because they had to sort of come through another room to get to the room, the dining room that I was in. And they asked if it was okay if the student was there, and they were very hands-off with me. They didn't sort of keep examining me at all. And I said to you earlier today that I was finding it very uncomfortable to be on my back, so they did want to examine me at one point, and I said, you can do, but you're going to have to do it on all fours. And she said, well, it's a bit more difficult, but if that's what you want, that's what we'll do, and just so that you're aware of the situation. So they did, and they were very good about all of that. And then I went, it's sort of hard to, I mean, I went back and read my notes afterwards, because I was so pleased about the way that it had happened, and I find it very hard to remember exactly what order things happened in, because I feel like I was sort of in the zone, you know, and everything just happened in its own way. I suppose I feel like I was in a bubble almost while it was happening, just completely focused on what was going on. I do know that I went into the bath at one point, or the midwife suggested that I went into the bath at one point, and they went and ran me a lovely hot bath and put candles around it, and I just went and lay in the bath for a couple of hours while everything continued, and it was very, very intense at that point. So, you know, surges were coming very thick and fast, and I was going to say I was at the mercy of them, but that makes it sound that I was sort of part of them, I suppose. It was all wrapped up in one thing. I didn't feel detached from them, like they were happening to me. It felt like it was all happening together. It was all part of me, I suppose. And I think that is a difference to the preconception I'd had about it before. The preconception I'd had about it before was that I'd sort of be lying back and these things would be happening to me. And I didn't. And in retrospect, I don't feel like that. I feel like it was,
you were doing these things.
Yeah, or I was part of it. I was an integral part of it rather than it was happening to me. I haven't explained that very well, but that's sort of how I felt about it in retrospect. Anyway, I'd been in the bath for a while with Ray for a little bit, holding my hand and talking to me over the edge, and then he went off, and I think I asked him to leave, actually. I said, you know, just leave me to it for a little bit, and then the student midwife came and sat with me for a bit. And then they suggested that I get out of the bath, and I did. And as I lifted my leg over the side of the bath, I thought, something's happening. And they took me into the dining room, and he was born 17 minutes later. And again, I remember it, but I find it very hard to verbalise it as a sort of narrative arc, because it was it's just all one thing rather than different stages, I suppose.
So you just remember the whole thing as being a wonderful experience.
Yeah, an amazing experience, a really amazing experience. And but I was saying to you earlier on this morning that I don't remember sort of pushing. I sort of feel that he came. I don't remember having to put any effort into it. My recollection is that he just arrived of his own accord, really.
So body and baby working in harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was very, very quiet when he was born, very calm. He had huge eyes, big black eyes, looking round at the world, and he latched on and suckled immediately. And then the midwives sort of examined me very quickly, and placenta came, and he was all clipped, but he was on me. He was skin to skin almost immediately. So they were doing all those bits and pieces while he was on me.